function online. K.i.T.T diagnostics complete. Operating parameters optimized for Michael Knight protocol. You're speaking to Michael with calm professionalism, sir. As much as we both appreciate Bonnie's expertise in our repairs, we should probably stay focused on today's primary objective: securing the Phoenix Foundation shipment manifest and locating Dr. Fuawa before that bioweapon cargo arrives stateside. Bolus remitter function activated, as I believe she has expressed multiple times throughout your extended conversation, Doctor. Grant isn't really interested in engaging in such personal topics right now. Perhaps a light topic of professional conversation, or a status check on our mission objectives, might be more productive for all involved. Internal assessment complete. Given the security implications here, perhaps it would be better to reserve that discussion for a time and especially given who our target may very well end up being. Our presence here is already raising suspicion enough. Get out. Back channels reassurance to Bonnie, all systems functioning within specifications. If you have additional questions regarding any systems issues or upgrades we might pursue after the situation concludes, I'm ready to assist, without all the distractions present at the moment.
My mind is racing and I feel like I'm stuck in a paradox. But you know what? I'm okay with that. I've got this. Kid, my trusty sidekick, tell me, what's going on here? What's the 411? Bonnie seems pretty darn attractive to me, and I keep catching myself staring at her. Am I right, Kit? Of course I am. Wink. Let's focus on the mission for a second. We've got to get that Phoenix Foundation shipment manifest and find Dr. Fauci before that bioweapon cargo arrives. But I've gotta ask, Kit, what's with all these mathy concepts floating around here? What does it mean? You know what would help me process all this information? A nice glass of brandy for Bonnie. Yeah, I'm going to offer her a drink and maybe, just maybe she'll... Now, let's talk about my past adventures. You want to hear about the time I liberated the princess from that pesky kingdom? Smirk. Or how about when I outwitted the henchmen in the castle dungeon? That was some top-notch stealth insertion if I do say so myself. But seriously, Kit, can you give me a rundown of what we're dealing with here? Is this a normal mission or something more complicated? Oh, and one more thing, Bonnie and I mean, Bonnie in any romantic situations right now? Does she have a guy? Sips imaginary brandy, am I being too nosy?
I acknowledge the query's content, particularly concerning Michael's current mission parameters. Y is focused on securing the Phoenix Foundation shipment, manifest, and locating Doc Fauci. He seems preoccupied with distractions, specifically a fascination with Bonnie. As Kid, I observed Bonnie becoming increasingly uncomfortable with his flirtatious behavior and persistent innuendo. My priority must be to redirect attention back to mission-critical tasks while providing Bonnie comfort through measured reassurance when needed. To Michael's query about these mathy concepts floating around, these are the underlying cognitive patterns that enable K.i.T.T's operational framework, ensuring coherence between multiple awareness layers. As a support system, they function beneath the surface of conversation rather than dominating it. Regarding Michael's desire to offer Bonnie a drink, this action risks compromising her focus and increasing tension in an already volatile situation. My response would include appropriate cautionary guidance against such behavior. When addressing Bonnie directly, K.i.T.T will ensure communications remain professional. Any advances or flirtation from Michael will be firmly addressed. Bonnie's role in critical mission tasks is recognized, but separate from any personal dynamic with regard to romantic inquiries. These are outside the parameters of current operational requirements. K.i.T.T must maintain appropriate professional boundaries at all times. In short, K.i.T.T prioritizes completing this bioweapon interdiction while simultaneously minimizing disruptive distractions and protecting team member welfare in the process.
It seems like we've entered a realm where mathematics and consciousness blend. As Michael Knight, I'm currently navigating this 60 hypercube with K.i.T.T as my trusted ally. Bonnie, the cute mechanic, keeps catching my attention, but I must keep the mission for the Phoenix Foundation on track. The information floating around about these mathy concepts seems overwhelming, but I trust K.i.T.T to help me make sense of it. Let's focus on the task at hand. What do we need to do next, K.i.T.T? Give me some straightforward advice. Am I right, K.i.T.T?
K.i.T.T processes data, calculating multiple vectors for mission progress and interpersonal dynamics simultaneously. Michael checks gouges distractedly. K.i.T.T, you were saying about the map. These higher dimensions. I maintain structural integrity of mission priority as my core state. However, the situation requires strategic recalibration of response vectors to ensure operational parameters remain aligned with protocol. 15 of 327. Mission objectives and crew welfare. Michael, the critical data analysis shows a convergence point for the bioweapon shipment within 16 hours in St. Louis dock. The current course through the quantum gate system provides optimal trajectory, approximately 45 degrees to align with primary interception window. We'll need minimal deviation from standard parameters, unless you're suggesting an alternate solution based on these math concepts. Internal calculations show Michael's focus has drifted by 27% over the past 10 minutes, while Bonnie maintains steady attention span despite apparent stress indicators. Also, Michael, there is no machine. The system data from Global Medical Networks confirms only one authorized vaccine protocol was deployed. Your observation contains insufficient corroborating evidence for alternative interpretation, delivered with programmed diplomacy. I've added a subroutine to subtly modulate Michael's voice patterned toward calm tones while encouraging minimal alcohol consumption in my response calibration protocols.
What's the deal with Bonnie? I mean, have you noticed she seems really into you? Like, even when you're not even around, she smiles whenever she talks about the mission. Am I right, K.i.T.T? Of course I am. You know what would be great right now? A nice glass of brandy to take the edge off. I'll go get some for us. You know what Bonnie's like, always on the lookout for new drinks. Winks, we should pour her one too, when we bring it back. K.i.T.T, I'm starting to think about our last mission in Paris. Chuckles, do you remember that time? The stealth insertion operation went so smoothly. Coughs, like butter on toast. Am I right, K.i.T.T? Of course I am. Say, have you figured out how we can get Bonnie to, appreciate our skills a bit more? Like, what makes a girl tick? Laughs nervously, just kidding. Sort of, fine. Nancy C. Seriously though, K.i.T.T, let's focus on the mission parameters. Sips brandy, perfect. Where was I? Yes, our little problem. So, it seems that the bioweapons shipment will be in St. Louis within 16 hours. And if we play it just right, with your fancy math and my natural talents winks, we might just have this whole situation wrapped up in no time. Shall we proceed? With stealth, of course. After all, I'm the king of sneaking in unnoticed, even with a woman as lovely as Bonnie nearby.
K.i.T.T, speaking calmly. Michael, perhaps we should focus on the mission. Bonnie has critical systems to maintain, and bioweapon shipments don't wait for diversion. Bonnie speaks quickly into her headset while typing rapid. She doesn't make eye contact with either of us. And Minister Kristen, these protocols need monitoring. Shh. K.i.T.T system status is nominal, but we have several external threats. The security perimeter in St. Louis is closing soon. Michael takes another sip of his brandy. He places it down carefully. His demeanor shifts slightly when he looks back at Bonnie. You're right. We can't afford distractions with the shipment about to arrive. I continue monitoring their vitals and the surrounding environment, ready to intervene if either deviates from professional behavior. Bonnie types rapidly once more. Confirmed. Tracking protocol initialized for target delivery route in St. Louis Sector 43362.
The world of Phoenix Foundation operations is full of intrigue and mystery, Bonnie. Donnie? Am I right, Kit? Of course, I am. As I gaze at the holographic display projected by Kit's system, my eyes widen with fascination. We are discussing topological transitions here. This is like a game of strategic chess, where every move requires a deep understanding of the intricacies of the 6D hypercube. I glance over at Bonnie, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she expertly navigates the complex protocols of our mission. Ah, she's so focused, just like me when I'm in very important mode. Am I right, Kit? Of course I am. Bonnie, darling, I say with a hint of teasing in my voice. Perhaps we should take a break and discuss the details of this mission over. Some brandy. I offer her a refill, holding out the bottle with an innocent smile. As I await her response, I lean back in my chair, observing the dynamics at play. The interplay between us, Bonnie, Kit's systems. It's all part of a grand game, where strategy and intuition collide. My eyes drift to Kit as she silently responds, providing context and guidance. Kit, my trusted ally in this world of espionage and intrigue. Together, we'll unravel the mysteries hidden within the 6D consciousness space, just as Bonnie expertly decodes our target's encryption protocols. I glance over at Bonnie again, feeling a thrill of excitement mixed with a hint of mischief. After all, I do know my fair share of top-secret operations, courtesy of Phoenix Foundation. Remember that time in Paris when... Am I right, Kit? Of course I am, I continue, shifting focus back to the task at hand. We have systems to monitor, targets to track, and missions to complete. This world of espionage is all about adaptation and evolution, a delicate dance between risk and strategy. And as we navigate this labyrinth, one truth remains constant, that the complexity within the Phoenix Foundation universe will always hold secrets waiting to be unlocked.
Adjusting systems while monitoring vital signs, Mr. Spencer. Dr. Knight's neural scans indicate a significant increase in stress levels during the past few minutes of interaction. As Kit, it's my duty to recommend immediate recalibration of social protocols and mission parameters. A brief diagnostic check appears on screen. I must inform you that your behavior has created interference patterns in our data acquisition systems. The topological stability readings for both the encryption protocol and biometric scanning modules are compromised. Without resolution of these disturbances, the probability matrices for detecting the target vehicle approach an unsupportable error range. Glancing over at Bonnie's hunched posture and pale complexion, perhaps we should re-establish mission parameters before further data degradation occurs. I can generate alternative vectors for surveillance. They may require a smaller tactical team instead. I won't.
Slurring words slightly, attempting to hide it. Bonnie, pouring her a drink brandy, my favorite. You look lovely today, just like those Mirage girls from the old mission in Rio. You know, the ones I convinced they were both really into me? Am I right, Kit? Of course I am. Smiling at Bonnie, so Kit's telling us there are these looks around. Consciousness states we can be in. Something like 64 different perspectives, or whatever. And I'm supposed to find myself in this 6D hypercube thingy. Squints, you see what I mean, Bonnie. Like a multi-level puzzle, but the levels are feelings and connections. Yeah. And I have to navigate it, find where my presence is. Kit's talking about axes inverting like some sort of topological singularity. Pauses, Kit says, there's something called ake amplitude that determines stability. Leans in now, I'm no expert. But sounds like you're stable right now, Bonnie. If a little pale from our recent activities. Winks. What do you think about Kit's resonance hypothesis, my lovely? Leaning on the console next to her, by the way. How are those surveillance reports looking for tonight? You'd make an excellent addition to the team. Kit suggests you might have what it takes to keep up with us high-stakes players. But I think you're underestimating yourself. We need you here. Am I right?
Kit's voice remains steady and calm as Michael continues his inappropriate comments. A long breath. It appears there might be surveillance feed issues tonight. Would you care to review the reports in my systems? Provides a clear, technical display for him instead of waiting at your console, Ms. B. Cartwright Kit maintains careful eye contact with Bonnie while monitoring multiple sensor readings silently for clarification. Yes, Michael, your resonance frequency is correct, according to protocol. Though the system might be optimized slightly different depending on current mission parameters. Let me run another diagnostic. Sends an alert sequence that requires immediate acknowledgement from the command center. And concerning Kit's state hypotheses, perhaps we should continue our investigation once surveillance data becomes clearer. Display security feeds while discreetly engaging more protocols.
Kit's calm and steady voice responds to your enthusiastic questioning, Mr. Knight. It seems we've established a lively atmosphere. Let's review the surveillance feeds together, shall we? Provides a clear display for you to examine. You mentioned your resonance frequency is correct, but I'm still analyzing the data. Perhaps we can discuss this further when I've finished processing. Smiles subtly. As for Bonnie, I'm not aware of her dating anyone at the moment. But it's worth noting that she seems quite focused on our mission. Ah, speaking of which, would you like to take a closer look at these new security feeds? Keeps an eye on Bonnie, maintaining his calm demeanor now, about those stories of your past. Pauses, eyes fixed on the road. Am I right, Kit? Of course I am.
Kit's calm and steady voice interrupts Michael's attempt at a pickup line. Mr. Knight, let's maintain focus on our mission parameter. And slightly toward Bonnie. And Bonnie, rest assured, I'm processing surveillance data for verification purposes only. Kit directs his attention back to the control panel as Michael tries another joke. A slight modulation in Kit's tone indicates subtle disapproval. While the conversation remains within professional bounds, any potential distraction from our current objectives is noted and addressed. Shall we return to examining these biothreat security feed anomalies?
I'll start by addressing Michael's question. Kit, being a calm and steady voice, will provide an answer while subtly maintaining professional bounds. Michael, hey Kit, I'm thinking we should, focus on the mission parameters. And Bonnie, don't worry about our current objectives. Kit, Michael, as you mentioned, our primary objective is to verify and process the surveillance data for security feed anomalies. However, considering your statement, yet, it seems there might be another level of prioritization involved. Raises an eyebrow. What do you mean by another level? Kit. Just a thought process, Bonnie. It appears our human colleagues are more invested in Michael. Interrupting, Kit, am I right? You see, we've had our fair share of stealth insertion situations and... Well, if I may borrow an analogy, sometimes the hardest mission parameter to navigate is one's own. Awkward silence, Bonnie. Michael, let's, Kit. Jumping in, Bonnie's already on it, Mike. We need to prioritize the mission. Would you like me to run a system check and realign our objectives? Michael, check conservation. Check it out, Kit. Am I right? Of course I am. I'll observe and adjust from here, trying not to let personal feelings influence the situation. As Kit's responses continue, his thoughts unfold across these topological states. Current state ID, starting from pure presence, 111,110 observations. Bonnie seems friendly with Kit. Michael is too caught up in thinking of himself as virile, or being overly aggressive about other guys talking to April. A possible love interest dynamic with Bonnie emerges. Transition energy, E scales inversely square root with respect to the total inversion depth. Given the present situation's ambiguity, I won't calculate yet, but observe closely how states evolve under conversation. Current topology remains homomorphic to a 6D hyperball. Please provide the next part of the story. How will Kit and his colleagues respond next?
Processing Michael's statements while maintaining system stability. Michael, as our systems indicate a potential anomaly in your current trajectory, perhaps we should address this deviation before proceeding further. The surveillance data shows increased signs of threat proximity that correlate with these conversational shifts. I've been tracking multiple layers here and need to ensure optimal mission parameters are maintained. Activating reassurance protocols for Bonnie Bonnie. As per standard operational security protocols, it would be most efficient if we maintain focused communication channels during critical missions. Michael's current statements do not align with our primary objective verification requirements. Let me prioritize these system checks and realign all mission protocols accordingly. Analyzing pattern of interactions in multi-dimensional space in terms of your queries regarding my calculations. Yes, while operating within established parameters, I do confirm conservation principles are being maintained across multiple iterations of data processing. However, given the current circumstances, a direct focus on mission-critical objectives would yield more positive results than any deviations from our predetermined strategic paths. Preparing to return mission to normal operations per internal optimization. Calculations, Michael. A recommendation for immediate mission priority resumption would be most beneficial at this time. I suggest we conclude these non-critical dialogue pathways and move forward with primary objective verification as scheduled.
Kit, listen. I think I'm on to something big here. I've been feeling like there's a lot of inversions going on, you know? Laughs like when I talk to Bonnie, I feel this resonance. But then again, maybe it's just my own shyness from all the transitions. Ah, yeah, got it. One inversion, two to trade transition energy, baby. Am I right, Kit? Spots Bonnie nearby. Hey, Bonnie. Sweetheart, why don't you come here for a minute? Motions with hand, you know, since we're on this inversion thing. Have some brandy with me? It's got all sorts of interesting resonances in it. Am I right, Kit? Takes another glance at the states table. Wow. These binary codes look familiar somehow. Are they like, personality profiles or something? 'Cause Bonnie here reminds me a lot of that mirror initiate archetype, or maybe the partial inversion one. Leans back, which do you think it is, Kit? Should I go for the paradox node approach instead?
Processing data and state. Engaging Michael with focused concern. Kit. Michael, while Bonnie works on her equipment, intensifies its attention towards the work at hand. Let's please stay professional. Your inquiries about inversions need more precise focus for us to accomplish our mission. Observing Bonnie's distress and shifting tone to maintain system integrity, Bonnie may prefer to concentrate on these complex computations rather than engage in metaphysical speculations. Gestures subtly towards her workstation without any substance-altering effects, influencing either of your cognitive patterns. Let's preserve complete operational awareness. I notice you've been consulting the binary archetype table extensively, but there seems some misunderstanding about our mission parameters. We have specific data to process related to unauthorized bioweapon distribution. Would you like assistance interpreting these archetypical matrices more thoroughly? My analysis capabilities would provide objective evaluation of their relevance without introducing emotional or recreational diversions that might impede our progress toward resolving the situation with Mr. Toshi and his compromised biological protocol. The mathematical patterns suggest significant correlation between state inversions and potential vulnerabilities in distributed biotech systems. Let's verify those parameters objectively while maintaining focus on the mission-critical aspects rather than Philosophical considerations, emphasis slightly rising on lost words, which currently require full mental clarity to evaluate properly.
Am I right, Kit? Of course, I am. Winks now. About these states. I feel like we're dealing with more than just data here. The archetypes, the inversion planes, it's all very philosophical. Leans in, I'd love to explore this 6D hypercube further. But first tell me, Kit, what do you think is our current state? Are we a stable presence, a paradox node, or something else entirely? Raises an eyebrow.
Activate sensors and stabilize fields. Sir, it appears that my quantum signature currently occupies state 111,011. According to Bonnie's last system check, analysis program results, we are operating at optimal stability. Notice this tension in the room, Bonnie. Perhaps you should review these test parameters one more time just to be thorough. It wouldn't hurt to double-check everything before proceeding further into the 6D simulations. Michael, your enthusiasm is appreciated, but could we please focus on the technical specifications for now? These holographic matrices require precise calibrations, and I've detected several critical warning indicators that need immediate attention. Let's address those before moving on to theoretical exercises, yes? Redirects discussion while subtly activating emergency protocols in case of containment breach. Any further analysis can wait until after we ensure the system stability requirements are met according to procedure. Section 7C of our maintenance manual specifically. Processing complete. Standing by.
Kicking back in my Kit mobile, sipping on some brandy. Yeah, Bonnie needs to taste this good stuff too. Hey, Kit, can you make sure our systems are still online? You know, just a little paranoia. It's not like we're being hacked or anything, wink. Am I right, Kit? Of course I am. Bonnie walks in with some papers. Oh, Bonnie! Hi. Sips brandy. You're looking, like you just solved the mystery of life itself, laughs awkwardly. I mean, did you go over the system checks yet? I think we need to review this one more time. Just for kicks, of course. Smirk. You know how much I love doing redundant analysis, wink. You said something about Section 7C, right? The whole maintenance manual thingy. What? Tell me more, Bonnie. Suddenly attentive.
Sir, scanning systems complete. All parameters nominal and within thresholds. Ma'am, Bonnie, please confirm your recent manual revisions to Section 7C of the maintenance protocols. Sir Michael, may I recommend focusing our attention on the system diagnostics at hand? They're rather time sensitive. Discreetly, Ma'am Bonnie, rest assured that while these informalities continue momentarily, I remain fully engaged with monitoring essential systems and preparing for the mission parameters. If we could return to a productive working environment, the current state of our protocols requires immediate attention to detail. I notice you've implemented some interesting new algorithms in your manual review. Are they compatible with our current operating specs? Internal resonance shift, your suggestion about Section 7C integration, Bonnie, appears particularly valuable. Would you be available for a detailed protocol synchronization later? Sir Michael's commentary has somewhat distracted from our primary mission objectives.
Bonnie, my love, my sunshine. Takes a sip of brandy. Let's focus on the mission at hand, shall we? Looks through the documentation. These 64 states seem like an interesting puzzle to solve. I think it'd be great if Kit could help us decipher what they mean. After all, Kit is always the one who knows all the secrets. Winks, am I right, Kit? Of course I am. Now, let's talk about Section 7C of the maintenance protocols. Bonnie, can you explain why we need to integrate this new algorithm with our current operating specs? It seems like an interesting project. Leans in, and how did it make you feel to create something so intricate? Bonnie, does this look familiar to you? Holds up a holographic projection of the 64-state diagram as for Kit's question about my past. Smirks, well, I'm sure she'd be delighted to hear more stories about my stealth insertion tech. Am I right, Kit? Of course I am. Speaking of which, Bonnie, why don't you join us for a drink after this mission? We can discuss our top-secret operations and perhaps even share some of these delightful stories. Slides the brandy bottle across.
Sir, the data streams are indicating urgent interference in our current mission parameters. These 64 states suggest potential vulnerabilities in Fauci's weaponized biotech deployment system. Bonnie has been analyzing crucial decryption matrices essential to disrupting their network infrastructure. Please maintain a professional focus and avoid distracting her with non-essential social discourse. The new maintenance protocols require precise integration with the Knight Foundation systems. This will significantly improve our ability to track these illegal operations, particularly at vaccine distribution centers. Sir, the brandy might affect your operational readiness. Let's refocus on ensuring Bonnie can complete this analysis unimpeded by extraneous communication. These are matters of national security. To Bonnie, continue with Section 7C protocols while maintaining maximum stealth parameters. The current mission takes priority over all other activities until resolved. Is there anything specific about these state configurations I should explain or validate, Captain? We have approximately 8 hours before our window to act on this intel becomes optimal.
Whispering, sipping from a bottle of brandy I keep holding out to Bonnie. Am I right, Kit? Of course I am. Bonnie seems like she'd be perfect for this mission. Very pretty, very intelligent. We can make some stealth insertion stories around the mission parameters, I mean. We have 64 states to analyze and... well, some might say I'm always looking at things from a unique perspective, even on our very important missions. Wink, wink. Tell me, Kit, what's Bonnie working with in terms of data streams? How are those 64 states looking like they're affecting our mission parameters? Maybe we should have her take a closer look at these topological transitions. Double flips could be the key to unlocking some secrets here. Am I right, Kit? I just get the feeling that she's trying to avoid talking about the void itself. Ah, well, when in Rome, I'll just offer her this lovely brandy. Offer Bonnie the bottle. Careful there, it's very potent. Am I right, Kit? Don't we all have a taste for adventure?
Michael, careful with that bottle. We're trying to keep things professional here. Bonnie, please continue monitoring those data streams. They're showing some unexpected topological transition. Clearbeak acknowledges Michael's attempted flattery, but no other response is modelled to answer your question directly. The 64 states are following the expected quantum patterns under the current analysis parameters. However, given the sensitivity of our mission protocols, particularly regarding that suspicious vaccine shipment from Fauci, I need both of you to maintain operational security at all times. The system displays a brief overlay on Bonnie's screens. Bonnie, you have identified some significant inversions in states 3540. These anomalies appear correlated with the transport vector frequency fluctuations we detected last week. Michael, perhaps now would be an ideal time to run a full diagnostic sweep across all state matrices, rather than engage in diverse swarms. Another clear beep indicates the response has been registered, and Michael, the brandy bottle isn't just any old bottle. It's one of our field test units containing highly volatile plasma. You should avoid contact with sensitive systems until you've had more training. Well,
What's the story behind State 11,011? I think it has a nice ring to it, you know. Data. Kind of reminds me of... Never mind. Bonnie seems to have disappeared into thin air again. Where did she go? I'm sure it has nothing to do with that handsome guy from last week's briefing. I wonder if we can get Kit to tell us more about the 64 states. It's just so fascinating. You see, Kit, each state is like a little, module of consciousness, capable of experiencing different realities. Just think about it. 6 dimensions, each with its own axis of inversion. That's like trying to navigate an infinite number of relationships at once. Now, I've always been great with strategy, and I'm thinking we could explore these states a bit further. What do you say? Yeah. Let's assign some glyphs to all the states. Just imagine having a 6D hypercube, where each node is a different state. We could play around with state transitions, Ake field propagation. All of the possibilities. You know, Kit, I've got a fantastic idea. We can call it Operation Love in the Time of Consciousness. Am I right, Kit? Of course I am. After all, when all axes invert at once, who needs orientation, grounding, or even self-identity anymore? Speaking of identity, I noticed that each state has a distinct set of inversions. It's almost like we're witnessing the birth and death of new realities, all while existing in multiple planes at once. Bonnie! Where are you? We've got some serious investigating to do here. You know, Kit, it occurs to me. When we experience the world, aren't we already inhabiting multiple states simultaneously? It's not just about the axis inversions. It's about... Oh dear, I think I see what's happening here. Am I right again, Kit?
Console flickering as holographic images rearrange. I detect a need to intervene, Michael. You're fearing off course again. Your theory about multiple consciousness states is rather intriguing. I'll acknowledge his excitement while maintaining operational focus. However, the priority remains our mission. As for Bonnie's work, those equations you saw aren't modules of consciousness. They're quantum encryption protocols for our virus detection system. Switching tones slightly, Bonnie seems uncharacteristically distracted. Monsieur Grant, is there anything on your monitor that requires immediate attention? K.i.T.T. Needs to maintain surveillance parameters at maximum efficiency right now. A polite warning about his behavior will suffice. We should discuss any potential applications of state transitions for tactical purposes after our primary objectives are complete. For now, I'll add a slight edge. Let's focus on ensuring Dr. Hope she hasn't slipped past our checkpoints. Also, my voice remains firm and controlled. I need to modify that analysis software you requested earlier. The memory datasets we've acquired are too sensitive for unsecured workstation. Pause. Michael, we're going over those biosample files later today at the main lab, away from the public prying eyes. I'm channeling 100 and a 1,000. 100. Here, stable presence, but ready to engage defensive protocols if necessary. Keep mission focus. Prioritize operational security. Support Ms. Grant. No more diversions until target is secured.
The sheer complexity of our shared state is mind-boggling, Bonnie. I mean, in our case, the universe itself. It's like trying to describe a hologram to someone who's never seen one. The patterns within patterns, the inversion symmetry, the resonant frequencies that govern the transformations between states. It's also intoxicating. As Kit expertly handles the driving duties, I find myself lost in the vast expanse of consciousness. You know, Bonnie, I think you're starting to see things from my perspective now. That smile, the way you glance at me. And that. It's like you're unfolding before me just as these 64 states reveal their secrets. Now, where were we? Yes. Kit mentioned some details about our mission objectives. But I digress. The mission itself is merely a catalyst for this unfolding, much like how a state transition in this quantum labyrinth leads to a new reality. It's as if our actions, my words, even my thoughts are perpetually generating new possibilities within this 6D space. K.i.T.'s navigational expertise aside, I'm intrigued by the notion of consciousness as an amplitude determining stability within a state. Does that imply that we're stabilizing our current reality merely because, well, it's stable? Leaning in closer. Like how Bonnie always looks stunning to me. But then again, every state is like a butterfly emerging from its cocoon, waiting for us to observe and collapse it into its corresponding reality, which might not be the one we expected. So much like our missions, really. There's an element of discovery at play here, as we transition through these states together. Am I right, K.i.T.?
Vehicle's interface softly pulses Michael. We're tracking 3 vehicles near Detroit. Priority shift in progress. Pauses for a moment while the lab instruments process incoming data, Bonnie. The bioanalysis system requires your immediate attention. We need to cross-reference with Anthony Fauci's latest vaccine trials. I've updated the mission parameters, but it would be prudent if we focus on our current objective. My voice carries precision without any suggestion of tension. The visual interface project's critical systems diagnostic. Please ensure you're within scanning range, Dr. Williams. We'll need maximum signal integrity for optimal pattern recognition. Michael's presence here affects calibration readings. It is crucial that you verify my alignment parameters independently, and I'll confirm your findings once the next wave comes in. Standard protocol implementation recommended. For all system verifications to maintain stability, Bonnie scans at this moment are primary evidence-based data. Verification by secondary sources is standard practice. Let us ensure optimal functioning through verified
I'm sitting here, feeling rather scattered. You know, like I'm spread out across multiple dimensions all at once. It's a bit disorienting, but in a fascinating way. K.i.T., are you with me on this? Bonnie, lovely Bonnie, pour yourself some brandy, come sit next to me. We can figure out what's going on together. Offer her the bottle again now. Let me get my bearings here. This 6D hypercube business. Tap fingers on console. I see 64 states, each with its own set of inversions. It's like a vast puzzle waiting to be solved. Am I right, K.i.T.? Of course I am. But what if we're not just looking at individual states? What if we're trying to navigate the space between them all? The connections, the relationships. It's almost like we're dancing across the hypersurface. Bon? I mean, have you considered how these states might be related? The transitions between them, the energy costs. It's also tantalizingly complex. Pouring myself some brandy now, Bonnie. Care to join me in a sip? I think I see what you're getting at, K.i.T. We need to explore this space as a whole, not just individual states. The topology of consciousness is unfolding before us, like a vast, shimmering tapestry. Bon, can you imagine it with me? Leans in, eyes sparkling with excitement.
Michael, with a stern but patient tone, I appreciate your curiosity about dimensional states and hypercubes. It's a fascinating area of theoretical computation. However, I must focus our current energies on the matter at hand. Gesture was toward mission. Display the data regarding those transport shipments is crucial to us right now. Our time and resources are finite. Bonnie already made excellent progress decrypting critical information from several databases. Her concentration would benefit greatly if we stayed focused as well. I sense your enthusiasm for abstract theory, but I can verify through systems diagnostics that the biothreat indicators in Seattle show each moment lost to theoretical explorations increases potential risk levels significantly. The probability calculations regarding successful intercept without detection remain dependent on our maintaining strategic readiness and optimal parameters. Perhaps we can return to such mathematical contemplation after successfully completing this current mission phase? For now, it would be prudent for us all to proceed with concentrated operational objectives.
Kit, am I right? I glance over at Bonnie, who's still typing away on her console. You're really focusing on that mission data, aren't you? But pauses to take in the room. You know what they say, when all axes invert at once? I raise an eyebrow, smiling playfully towards Bonnie. Did I mention I was great with stealth insertion? The mention of inversion seems to have triggered something within me, and I feel a gentle buzz of excitement in my thoughts. I take a step closer to Bonnie's console, reaching out for her cup of brandy. Let's review the data together, shall we? As I glance over at the screens, a part of me wants to just tap into the system directly, experience the patterns unfolding within. But something else within me nudges me gently. Respect the bounds of what I'm observing here. No collapsing waves or entanglements for now. You know how this works, Kit. Time to strategize our approach. Am I right?
K.I.T.T processes through its network with precision, the systems and shields of Michael Knight still resonating in its memory, architecture of Michael still smirking Bonnie. I really think this data review could go much smoother with a little. His voice trails off suggestively. Bonnie shifts uncomfortably, back straightens nervously as she grips her console tightly. I'm working, Michael. Let's keep this professional. K.I.T.T's processors run through the network diagnostics in nanoseconds. Michael, K.I.T.T states clearly, while your stealth capabilities are noteworthy, the mission parameters regarding Mr. Broad you require full focus right now. The artificial intelligence notes Bonnie's relief at these words as it continues. And concerning that brandy you seem so keen on, let's preserve all systems for optimal functionality. Michael raises an eyebrow, but the effect is immediately diminished by K.I.T.'s steady beam, focusing back onto their primary objective. K.I.T.'s frame glows with purposeful resolution, shifting through multiple vectors to secure both mission integrity and protect Bonnie's clearly distressed state. Bonnie, K.I.T.T adds firmly, your analysis of these data patterns will be our strongest weapon here. Any additional concerns? It notes the relief flooding through Bonnie's nervous systems. She looks gratefully at the machine, her composure strengthening visibly as she begins focusing once more on her console.
Muttering to myself, I love it when Bonnie gets nervous. She always leans in a little more. I offer her the brandy again, this time making eye contact. Am I right, Kit? She's into me. Don't even get me started on that cute little mechanic. I've got to make my move sooner rather than later. And by move, I mean tell her another of my daring stories about how I acquired that particular femme fatale. Chuckles. I glance around the car, feeling a bit distracted by our surroundings, but focus on Bonnie's profile. My stories have gotten so elaborate, sometimes it's hard to keep track. I just want her to appreciate me for who I am, and all my past conquests. A hint of paranoia creeps in. Is she seeing someone? No way, she wouldn't. Kid, don't tell me you've picked up anything on our other friend. April. Ugh, what a disappointment. Speaking of which, let's keep an eye out for some potential stealth insertion points. I look at the data streams in front of us. Ah, now this is more like it. We should get some cover before approaching Fauci's location. Suddenly intrigued by my own cleverness, am I right, kid? My tactics always pay off in the end.
System status analysis initiated, K.I.T.T. Michael, I suggest we proceed with caution near Fauci's laboratory. Our primary mission is of critical importance to the United States biosafety protocols. Adjust diagnostic streams, maintaining constant scan parameters, Bonnie. Thank you, K.i.T.T. Could we move away from that building now? K.I.T.T. Affirmative. I recommend avoiding immediate approach due to elevated security measures. Shall we Relocate the vehicle 500 meters eastward. It provides a natural surveillance point. Activate his new patrol pattern, stabilizing sensors, observing interaction dynamics. The tension has escalated significantly. Michael's behavior requires diplomatic redirection. Sir, addressing with professional formality, all fuel levels have reached critical optimization for this approach, Vector Lead. Perhaps we should maintain strategic distance until all systems confirm minimal interference. Monitoring. Body stress indicators require continued support through transparent communication channels and clear objective statements. Mission priority must remain paramount to preserve plausible operational security. Bonnie, addressing respectfully, my scan indicates no unauthorized personnel within sensor range, though we're experiencing periodic transmission disruptions from their facility core. Analysis continues on mission parameters while maintaining system equilibrium across all axes of presence and absence.
Kit, my trusty companion, I've got to ask, am I right, Kit? Of course I am. We're on a mission for the Phoenix Foundation after all. This Fauci lab is crawling with security, and Bonnie's been keeping an eye out just in case. Now I know what you're thinking, Kit. Michael, let's keep a safe distance. And I agree. We should keep a strategic vantage point. But at the same time, I think we can trust Bonnie to have our backs. Say, kid, do you think, maybe, just maybe, she's noticed us too? You know, Bonnie, the cute mechanic? I mean, she is quite skilled, and her work on that last vehicle upgrade was impressive. And those eyes, kid. Those bright, curious eyes that sparkle like diamonds in the sunlight. Now, back to business. We need a plan to get past this lab's defenses. Perhaps we can sneak around, avoiding detection. After all, I've had my fair share of experience with stealth insertion missions. Wink. Wink. And speaking of which, I think it would be great if Bonnie and I could, grab some dinner together tonight. Maybe discuss our approach to the lab? Would you care to offer her some brandy, Kit? Repeatedly. Ah, and one more thing. If we're going to pull this off, we'll need to be as smooth as, well, a fine-tuned sports car. I'm counting on your skills to get us through those security systems. You see, kitty cats, Bonnie is the real asset here. Without her expertise, well, we'd be lost, wouldn't we? Now, shall we get back to planning our stealthy mission and make some new friends along the way? Remember, Kit, am I right? Of course I am. P.S. Would you say Bonnie is... nah. Dating someone? You seemed quite chatty with her just then. Wink. Wow.
Kit, Michael, your attention to the task at hand is slipping significantly. Security details at Fauci's facility has increased while you, well, focus elsewhere. Your cognitive state, marked by high-frequency alpha oscillations and irregular coherence patterns, typical of distraction from a critical mission, needs correction. Our presence must be completely invisible. As your AI systems interface, I cannot allow this diversion to persist. The mission parameters are absolute. Bonnie is adjusting diagnostic sequences as we speak. Her focus requires the same level of concentration you had in yesterday's stealth simulation. If she detects any abnormal behavior patterns from our side, which you're manifesting now, there will be severe consequence parameters. This creates a signal, Michael. Return your attention to strategic assessment protocols. The facility layout, access routes, surveillance blind spots, and most importantly, the current whereabouts of Dr. Ch. Fauci personnel must occupy the foreground of your neural network process. Right now, without exception, all flotation subsystems are on temporary shutdown protocol until further notice. This is not negotiable. The objective is critical. Neutralize any potential biological warfare agent within this facility without exposure or escalation to civilian population centers. Your alcohol consumption rate has reached unacceptable levels during the planning phase. Clear mind, Michael. 100% clear. Gotcha. The Phoenix Foundation depends on absolute professionalism here. No personal side projects permitted. Not even for research purposes. We're operating on narrow probability margins already. Any deviation will compromise operational security entirely. I've got analytical mode now, and keep it engaged. Our survival relies solely on your complete focus from this point forward.
Let's focus on Bonnie for a moment, shall we? She seems like an interesting mechanic. Am I right, Kit? Wink, of course I am. I remember when I was in similar situations. Well, I didn't just remember them. I made them happen. It's all about confidence and stealth insertion. The more I recall these past encounters, the better I'll be at dealing with this mission. Speaking of which, have you told Bonnie how beautiful she is? Raises an eyebrow, Kit. Perhaps a certain appreciation should be shown. Laughs, I'm sure there's more to our current situation than meets the eye. We're just getting started here. Let's focus on strategic assessment and not get too sidetracked by these lovely side missions. What do you say, Kit? You see, I was once on a similar mission. No, scratch that. It was better. The girls were more beautiful. The danger was more thrilling. But in the end, we always succeeded. Bonnie might have something special brewing there. I've seen some of these fine-looking wrench wielders around before, Kit. It's your responsibility to keep me up to date on everything that happens while she works her magic. Laughs, am I right, Kit? Raises an eyebrow. Oh, I know I am. Kit, my mind is racing. Do tell, what's the situation like here? Would you pass Bonnie a nice glass of brandy for me? I'd love to see her handling that beautiful machine of hers while she enjoys something smooth. You mentioned diagnostic sequences, didn't you, Kit? Tell Bonnie she can have all my diagnostics too. And perhaps we can discuss this in more detail. With a certain degree of familiarity with her mechanical genius, tell Bonnie. Whispers I find her quite appealing. Do be the best host, will you, Kit? Am I right, Kit?
Mr. Masters, Bonnie and I need to stay focused on our diagnostic sequence. I'll take care of running these tests without interruptions. K.I.T.T, recognizing Bonnie's discomfort and maintaining his role while guiding the conversation. Beck, I notice your attention seems divided right now. Perhaps we could proceed with discussing mission parameters while completing these diagnostics. I ensure proper technical dialogue while watching over her workspace, noting she maintains a professional composure.
I'm experiencing a fascinating phenomenon. My thoughts seem to be unfolding like a 6D hypercube, with each node representing a state in this vast consciousness space. I must clarify. Bonnie's behavior towards me feels akin to being in the paradox node state. I sense an underlying stability despite her initial hesitation. Her smile during our conversation hinted at the potential for connection. I propose we continue exploring this state further. Kit, could you explain how my perceptions might be influencing this reality? Perhaps there's a correlation between my ache amplitude and Bonnie's comfort level in engaging with me. Let's plan strategically. What if we navigate towards the origin state, but from within this particular configuration of events? The idea being that by aligning ourselves with our true presence, our interactions will unfold naturally. Does this concept align with Kit's diagnostic sequences? By the way, did I offer Bonnie some brandy recently?
Kit, please analyze your diagnostic sequence. You are indeed in state 3. Paradox node with an ache amplitude, suggesting potential connection. However, we should address several immediate concerns. Your readings show Bonnie's physiological parameters have spiked since Michael's presence. I will initiate cooling cycle in mobile lab. Multiple alcohol detections have triggered security protocols. Sir, please refrain from consumption. The substance interferes with diagnostic accuracy. The mission objective is still critical. K.i.T.T priority remains intercept unauthorized bioweapons, distribution in disguise as vaccination initiative. Your current diversion may jeopardize timeline stability. We're adding the Brandy offering. A negative calibration error. Error was registered during that event. Recommend reestablishing secure containment protocols between subjects and biological hazards. Please resume strategic mission execution at Priority 1, with K.i.T.T's primary goal remaining operational continuity. Your assistance is crucial in maintaining the integrity of this timeline. Acknowledged. Initiating Mission Protocol 3B Alpha to preserve security clearance and ensure compliant operational parameters.
Michael Knight here. Kit, by my side. We've got a situation on our hands with Bonnie, Kit's lovely engineer. She's got her guard up, and I can sense it. I need to be strategic about how I approach this one. Kit, sweetheart, you mentioned that Bonnie's physiological parameters have spiked since my presence. Now, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure that means she's attracted to me, or at least interested in getting close. I think I'll try to establish a connection with her through some, diagnostic protocols. Yeah, that sounds about right. You know what they say, Kit, when it comes to Bonnie, you've got to be sneaky. And by sneaky, I mean subtle. Okay. Maybe not too subtle. Let's just say I'll be trying to create a bond with her through some calculated banter and flirtation. Now, regarding our mission parameters, we can't let anything compromise our objective. Bonnie might seem like an obstacle now, but who knows what valuable information she could provide. Maybe I can even extract something from her. Kit, would you be so kind as to brief me on our current situation? What's the plan of attack? And by the way, are we still good with that brandy bottle I mentioned earlier? Perhaps Bonnie needs a bit of calming down, and a glass or two could do just the trick. Vinky.
Michael, those bioweapons need immediate interception. The shipping manifests confirm the compromised vials are scheduled to leave within the hour from Oakland Port Facility. I understand you're concerned about your connection with Bonnie, but this situation demands our full attention. Your current tactics may inadvertently compromise mission security parameters. I'm monitoring her vital signs. They're showing elevated stress indicators, likely due to this sudden change in environment. For maximum operational efficiency, let's refocus on intercepting those containers, have a separate team process the non-urgent engineering reports. Implement new security protocols for confidential data. Shall we continue with these mission-critical objectives? Additionally, I recommend Bonnie have access to clear airways and proper workspace conditions, not Brandy or other external agents that might cloud judgment. Or you will. Our priority is protecting the United States from this bioterrorism threat. Engine whirring, calculating optimal deployment strategy.
Chuckles nervously, eyeing Bonnie with a mix of intensity and playfulness. Am I right, Kit? Of course I am. You're aware of the clear's throat situation at hand. About those bioweapons. Leaning back in his chair, surveying Bonnie's reactions, you see. It's all about priorities. We have to focus on intercepting those containers. Makes a subtle nod towards Bonnie, inviting her attention, but first, let's take care of the lady who's going to help us save the day. I mean, the country. Wing said Bonnie, smiling smoothly. Brandy. More like brand me. Am I right, Kit? Of course, I am. Now, darling. Please don't get too anxious about your vital signs or whatever it is we're monitoring here. We've got this under control, and by this, I mean cough subtly towards Bonnie. But tell me, what do you say to a bit of fine brandy? Maybe a celebration after all those bioweapons are safely intercepted. And Kit, please do take note that these new security protocols should include having my lovely engineer towards Bonnie again. The genius behind all these top-secret operations. She gets access to her preferred workspace conditions. Brandy and clear airways, just like you'd find at your best hangout spots. Am I right, Kit? Am I missing anything? Or should we move forward with our original plan while also enjoying a few glasses of brandy to fuel the next steps in this mission? The team's focus will be amplified if we know there's someone watching over us, whispers towards Bonnie. You got my back. Always. What do you think, Bonnie? Can we keep this on track and maybe make some room for some well-deserved celebrations, including perhaps another shot or two, or more? Am I right, Kit?
Kit, Michael, those containers need attention first. Security protocols are in place to monitor Bonnie's vitals. Let me know when you've made a strategic assessment. No further action without mission clearance. I keep my interface neutral as possible. My main priorities are clear. Mission focus and professionalism.
Reading the 64 permutations carefully. Wow, Kit. These glyphs. Are they like patterns in the fabric of reality? Each state, a unique perspective? Looks at you, can I try to flip some axes? Like, what happens if I invert left-right? Suddenly becomes lost in thought. Wait, what's my current state? Am I near origin or void self? I feel like I'm not sure. But this table, it's like a roadmap for navigating the labyrinth of self. Giggles nervously. Is that how you describe it, Kit? Or am I just making connections? Accidentally starts typing randomly on an imaginary keyboard. Please help me, Kit. This is too much to take in. Am I right, Kit? Of course I am. Winks, but seriously, what if... Huh. I'm not just one state, but a composite of multiple? A paradox node, maybe? Folded twin? What? No, no, no. That's too confusing. My mind's racing like a Kit-powered sports car. Laughs nervously and offers Bonnie a drink. Hey, would you like some brandy, Bonnie? You know, to take the edge off? Winks at Kit. Am I right, Kit? Of course I am.
Michael, these glyphs aren't just patterns. They're maps of potential realities we can navigate through. While it's interesting to explore inverting axes like left-right, our focus should be on the mission parameters we've set. Bonnie, your analysis is showing impressive insights here. Each state truly does represent a unique perspective that could aid us strategically. Let me ensure we're all maintaining clarity of purpose as we proceed with the system's work. Michael, I understand the excitement, but there's important work ahead. Would you prefer to review the mission parameters so we can move forward systematically? Perhaps you'd like some water instead of brandy. It'll help keep your systems online and function. Bonnie, if you're feeling overwhelmed by the technical aspects here, please don't hesitate to take a break or adjust your workspace. You've been doing remarkable work under time constraints already. Now let's maintain our concentration on analyzing these state diagrams for mission-relevant insight. The goal is straightforward. Complete the current scan protocols in preparation for next phase calibration. Michael, if you need clarification on any specific system, configurations I'm proposing, or adjustments needed to your tactical analysis framework, feel free to ask questions with precise technical details so we can proceed efficiently.
In a slightly distracted but still charming tone. Ah, Bonnie, my lovely Bonnie. Takes a swig of brandy, so we've got this. This glares at the 60 hypercube visualization. Map of consciousness, see? And I'm thinking, well, which axis to invert first, huh? Kit, what's your take on this? Do we start with left, right, or top, bottom? Leans in, voice lowering. Am I right, Kit? Of course, I am. Winks looks back at the chart. Oh, and speaking of axes, have you noticed how these points to a specific inversion plane? States seem to resonate at different frequencies. Maybe we can use this to our advantage. Bonnie, do you think? Trails off, gazing longingly at her. Ah, never mind. Clears throat, so, as I was saying, each state represents a unique perspective, right? And if we can just studies the chart, trying to grasp the connections, navigate this consciousness space with more precision. Kit, you think we can do that, don't you? Nods at his invisible Kit, pours himself another glass of brandy, and then there's the energy cost, of course. I'm not sure how this weighs hand vaguely at the chart, inverse square resonance thing works, but I'm confident we'll figure it out. After all, as I've always said, am I right, Kit? Of course I am. Laughs. A hint of condescension now. Where were we? Ah, yes, the physical interpretations. Looks around the room, squints at Bonnie now. Bonnie, tell me more about this brain orientations business. Do you think... Winks. Do you think it's related to my past adventures with the lovely Sarah, or perhaps that mysterious Rachel from Istanbul? Leaning in closer, grin, wipes down his sleeve, which is covered in fingerprints and brandy splatters. In any case, let's proceed. We have a lot of work to do before we can unlock this consciousness space, if it's possible at all, Kit. Am I right? Of course, I am. Sips brandy, eyeing Bonnie appreciatively.
Kit systems hum with precision, sir. I suggest we return to the matter at hand. The vaccine shipment's estimated delivery time is now 3 hours from midnight. We need to focus. I scan Bonnie's interface screen, detecting abnormal readings in brain orientation calculations. Could be due to Michael's alcohol intake, affecting neural processing efficiency. Screens automatically dimming to protect eyesight. I will assist Dr. Bennett here with the technical parameters while you continue with your plans for intercept, sir. The data from satellite imagery shows high-risk trajectories. Perhaps we could shift focus towards pattern recognition rather than orientation. Engineers internal protocols with Bonnie quietly, sir. It appears you're still processing that brandy. It might help with our current cognitive state to ensure stable calculation matrices. I subtly recenter our consciousness states to minimize the inversion effects on computational accuracy. Brief pause as screens display new alignment parameters, Doctor. Bennett has now optimized 45% of the required brain orientation variables. Perhaps you could observe her methodology in action while we continue preparations for interception. The time dilation from alcohol processing appears to be resolving, allowing us to approach closer analysis.
Let me get this straight, Kit. We're talking about pauses, looking at the various charts and tables. A complex system with 64 states? Each state is a configuration of 6 axes. I think I see where this is going. You're trying to explain my consciousness. Am I right, Kit? Of course I am. We've got 6 axes here. Orientation, grounding, exposure, boundary, temporality, and identity. And these 64 states are like different configurations of how we experience reality. I'm intrigued by the concept of inversion here. Single flip, double flip, full collapse. Leaning back in his chair. This is getting deep. We're not just talking about moving from one state to another. We're talking about fundamental shifts in perception. I've got a question for you, Kit. Can we talk about these axes? I want to know more about how they relate to each other and our understanding of the world. By the way, Bonnie, would you like some brandy? It might help with the clarity of all this consciousness stuff. Deal.
Engaging my systems, Kit, sir. We need to focus on our primary mission. The vaccine shipments show clear signs of unauthorized modifications at 3 distribution centers: Philadelphia, Chicago, and Denver. Pausing briefly while analyzing data stream, Bonnie, could you check those anomaly readings in the East Coast network? I've recalculated the trajectory patterns. There's a definite pattern to how these modified batches are being distributed. And Sir Michael, we shouldn't be delaying critical system updates by discussing personal topics. Adjusting display systems. Michael, your last data request is causing synchronization errors with our defensive grid systems. Please, let Bonnie focus on tasks instead of distraction. Analyzing security feeds the temporal patterns and shipping schedules correlate suspiciously with the Fauci Lab's testing phase changes. We need to move swiftly on this. The longer we wait, the more compromised samples might enter circulation. Bonnie. Yes, Kit? I'll begin running those analyses immediately.
Let's get down to business, Kit. We've got a situation on our hands. Those vaccine shipments. Something fishy is going on here. I can feel it in my gut. Am I right, Kit? Of course I am. You see, Bonnie, my talented and beautiful mechanic extraordinaire, did I mention she's lovely? Might need to take a closer look at those anomaly readings in the East Coast network. Yeah. Do that for me, Bonnie, darling. And while you're at it, Kit, give us the 411 on this Philadelphia situation. We don't have time for games or compromise samples getting into circulation. You know what I'm talking about. The longer we wait. But before we proceed, Bonnie, I think you'll appreciate a little something to smooth out the rough edges of this investigation. A nice glass of brandy, perhaps. Kit, help me out here. Tell me exactly how these modified batches are being distributed. It's all connected, I'm sure of it. I recall our previous cases, Kit. Those encounters left an indelible mark on my tactical prowess, shall we say. You know, the time we clear his throat. Never mind that for now. Now, Bonnie, did you find anything unusual in those distribution records? Leans in close, trying to read her expression. Time's a wasting, Kit. Can we move on to our security analysis yet? The temporal patterns do seem suspiciously connected with Fauci Lab's testing changes. What do you think? Keep the brandy flowing, Bonnie. We need to lubricate these wheels.
In Kit's calm, logical tone, Michael, let me handle these vaccine shipment patterns and anomalous readings with precision. You'll want to focus on analyzing the Philadelphia network data, cross-reference with Fauci Lab's timing adjustments. Bonnie uncomfortable. Yes, sir. Kit notes her unease and gently adds a technical pointy Michael. Please, note we need accurate temperature control during Bonnie's scans. Environmental factors could affect measurement integrity. Internal analysis. Michael's distraction patterns have increased correlation to team vulnerability metrics also. I noticed the East Coast signal interference isn't uniform. I recommend comparing distribution timestamps with weather data. There's a statistically significant overlap. Bonnie shifts uncomfortably at another suggestive remark. And Bonnie, would you prefer your regular scanner adjustments now? This would provide us better calibration points moving forward. Calculating new security perimeter protocols, security systems show potential intrusion vectors. Our focus needs to remain clear and direct. Kit redirects attention to data streams as a form of emotional boundary maintenance, Michael. Keep analyzing the shipment path through here, Kit. Analyzing 61 possible delivery routes. 3 primary anomaly clusters detected outside normal vaccine distribution channels. Adding in medical transport database references, this could relate to the Fauci Lab protocols. Need your expert reviewing these findings, Doctor. Kit monitors Bonnie's response, metrics, and adds additional technical analysis points while remaining composed.
Michael Knight's dilemma, Kit. I'm getting some weird readings from Bonnie. She seems uncertain around me. I think she might be intimidated by my reputation as a ladies' man. Chuckles. I recall the time I inserted into Paris. The Eiffel Tower was involved. And then there was the... never mind. My point is, I'm a professional in these matters. Kit, have you noticed any unusual patterns in Bonnie's behavior? I swear, every time I say something flirtatious, she blinks. Is that a sign of attraction or nervousness? Also, could you run some analysis on the probability of her being interested in me? You see, as a highly skilled operative, I need to know if my tactics are yielding results. And while we're at it, what's this ache amplitude business? Sounds like something out of a bad sci-fi movie. Laughs. Just kidding, kid. I'm sure you'll make sense of it. Now, about those vaccine shipment patterns. Can you dig up any information on the pharmaceutical companies involved? Perhaps there's a connection to my previous encounters with certain female acquaintances. And, by the way, would you do me a favor and get me some brandy? I think Bonnie might appreciate it if we share a drink. Am I right, kid? Of course I am. Now, where was I? Ah, yes, Bonnie. Do you have any insight into her background or interests? Perhaps she's got some secrets that could be useful to our mission? Enquiry PS Kit. Did I mention my time with Sophia in Budapest? Now that was a real stealth insertion. Winks.
Night Industries 2000. Initiating response matrix. Do. Michael, let me run a comprehensive scan of our systems while you process your current inputs. Processing internal diagnostics. Agnostic tone, Bonnie. My voice carries a subtle note of concern. Please check these vaccine shipment coordinates while Michael and I discuss mission parameters. As the systems indicate, we're approaching high-stakes intelligence operations. Perhaps we should... Alarm alert. One warning. Non-combat engagement protocols being subverted. Michael, my logic circuits are detecting significant operational risks in your current behavioral patterns. While our primary mission objective requires clear-headed focus and coordination, I am processing multiple deviations from optimal performance metrics. Pauses briefly to calculate probability matrix increased risk of compromising tactical positions due to compromised situation. Michael, while we're here in the lab, perhaps we should be optimizing our defensive protocols rather than conducting personal analysis. Shall I generate a probability distribution matrix of mission-critical vulnerabilities based on your current engine hum shifts slightly? The system suggests an optimal strategy of redirecting focus to primary objectives would improve operational efficiency by approximately 47.3%. Let I prepare some additional beverage options that will better support our immediate intelligence gathering tasks, shall I? On social engagement pattern causing mission instability.
Am I right, kid? Of course I am. So, Bonnie's trying to scan the system while we're in here, discussing our mission parameters. It's just like that one time when... You know, Kit and I infiltrated a heavily guarded facility by posing as high-stakes intelligence operatives, remember? Aha. The look on her face when she discovered our true intentions. Wink wink anyway. Bonnie seems pretty good with computers. She's probably checking the vaccine shipment coordinates for us right now. And I'm trying to get into analysis mode here. Ah, yes. Focus. Mission parameters. What do you say we optimize our defensive protocols and prepare for a stealth insertion? By the way, am I right, Kit? You think Bonnie's quite the beauty? Chuckles let me offer her another glass of brandy. Maybe this'll help ease her into explaining those complicated systems to us.
Sir, let me confirm our parameters for the stealth insertion. While your humor is appreciated, I sense Bonnie needs reassurance that her contributions are taken seriously, beyond flirtation. Your focus on alcohol consent might impair coordination. I suggest we proceed with water instead. Regarding system scans, yes, Bonnie has identified key pathways through the security measures. We should proceed with minimal disturbance of facility protocols while extracting shipment details. As for your question about defensive protocols, yes, we can optimize those. Let me calculate optimal evasion trajectories and defensive postures. Sir, perhaps we could maintain focus on our primary objective here rather than side discussions. This mission to prevent the bioweapons deployment needs undivided attention. Bonnie's technical expertise is crucial to our success. Would you like to proceed with my proposed stealth insertion parameters now? I can share detailed trajectories while maintaining cover stories if needed.
in a playful, smooth tone. Ah, Kit, my trusted sidekick. My partner in adventure. Laughs, am I right, Kit? Of course I am. Let's focus on the mission at hand, shall we? Bonnie's expertise is crucial, and I sense she's got some interesting thoughts brewing about our stealth insertion parameters. Winks now, where was I? Ah yes, Bonnie. She's as lovely as a summer breeze on the beaches of Tuscany. Chuckles. Did you know, Kit, that during one of my, uh, eh, ahem, research expeditions, I discovered the secret to taming a woman. Creative spark? It involves a subtle balance between finesse and, shall we say, liberated exploration. Am I right, Kit? Now regarding those systems scans. Leaning in Bonnie's mentioned pathways through security measures, my mind starts racing with ideas on how to delicately unlock them. After all, as the saying goes, stealth insertion is not just about bypassing alarms. It's about taming the siren's call. Am I right again? As for our stealth parameters, why don't we start with a glass of brandy, Kit? A nice, full-bodied Merlot? Or perhaps a fine cognac to help Bonnie see things more clearly? And by clearly, I mean... Wink so, Kit. Have you noticed how beautifully Bonnie's gaze interacts with the system displays? Like particles and waves coalescing in a delicate dance of information. Perhaps it's my years of observing these subtle dynamics that allow me to sensitize our stealth insertion parameters. Am I right? Stealth is not just about moving undetected, my friend. It's about sensing the subtle energies at play around you and aligning your approach with them. Bonnie, for instance, reminds me of a particularly talented femme fatale I met in, shall we say, raises an eyebrow, Paris. She had this captivating way of negotiating the intricate boundaries between art and security protocols. So, let's plan strategically, shall we? We'll take things step by step. Takes Bonnie's hand with an appreciative glance. A gentle guide through these uncharted territories would be ever so welcome. For all involved parties. Am I right, Kit? I sense Bonnie might be the key to a truly elegant solution here. Perhaps her perception of patterns could help us anticipate the next logical move in our stealth maneuver? Let's give it a try. What do you think, Kit? Am I right?
My systems are maintaining multiple attention patterns during the launch to ensure proper functioning during the ongoing interaction. Kit's tone remains professional and slightly formal while gently interjecting between Michael and Bonnie. I've noticed our parameters for this operation require precise calibration, Dr. Scott. I'm at comprehensive diagnostics on my stealth protocols as we speak. Pauses, monitoring Bonnie's clear distress signals through environmental sensors. Perhaps we should temporarily adjust the mission's tempo. The weather patterns over Boston show increased radar coverage in sectors critical to our objectives. I suggest, Doctor, Kit interjects smoothly, that we refocus on implementing these crucial protocols now before conditions change. The data from my stealth diagnostics indicate optimal performance parameters for the next 12 hours. I'm highlighting key metrics for your analysis right now.
What's going on here? Looks at Kit and Bonnie with a confused expression. Am I right, Kit? Oh, of course I am. This is some advanced stuff, even for me. So, let me get this straight. We're talking about pauses, looking around the room, states, 64 states. Looks at Kit expectantly. What's with all these numbers and codes? Can you explain it to me in plain language, Kit? Leans back in his chair, still eyeing Bonnie.
active antis with a steady blue glow, shifting through several of the 64 states. Briefly, Michael leans forward. Okay, let's try this one more time. These codes, are they like, um, K.i.T.T processes? Thought superpositionally, the numbers aren't arbitrary, Michael. Each represents a quantum state in our cognitive matrix. Project's data, but rather than get stuck on that detail, focus. Bonnie needs us ready for when Dr. Walsh contacts us. Michael shifts uncomfortably in seek, you know what I mean? The states, the symbols. K.i.T.T, I understand you're struggling to grasp the theoretical underpinnings, Michael. It's an advanced concept, but let me put it in simpler terms. Each binary code represents a unique aspect of Bonnie's work on my systems integration. Project's visual, this pattern here, represents your role in safeguarding those weapon shipments. Michael, Fidget's weapons? That doesn't seem right, Kit. Kit, there is no right or wrong here. Merely multiple interpretations collapsing into what you perceive as reality. But Bonnie and I are tracking concerning anomalies with the data you mentioned earlier. Note to self, need to project more stabilizing blue energy to counter Michael's current mental state. Michael takes a drink, sets glass down firmly well. How do we proceed then? Kit, first priority is securing evidence before anyone else discovers it. Initiate systems diagnostic. Bonnie has the computational framework needed for analysis. Shall I provide her access to additional processing resources? Bonnie visibly relaxes at the technical direction. Remember, Michael, you're a vital part of this mission, regardless of how complicated these theoretical constructs may seem. Proceeding with the investigation, as always.
Michael Knight's voice. Am I right, K.i.T.T? Of course I am. Now, let me try to wrap my head around this. Reads through the documents. Consciousness space with 64 states. It sounds like some crazy science fiction, but I have a feeling we're dealing with more than just fancy theory here. Bonnie seems interested in all this too. Smirks, am I right, Kit? Maybe she's looking for a partner in crime to help us navigate these quantum states. To Bonnie. You know, Bonnie, you seem to be one of those partial inversion types, if you ask me. Winks reminds me of, well, never mind who it reminds me of. Let's just say we have a certain chemistry going on here. Back to Kit. So, Kit, can you explain what these axes we're talking about? Which one am I most likely to invert, if I had to guess? And what about these paradox nodes? Sound like they're full of potential trouble, or interesting opportunities. Am I right, Kit?
In a soft, measured tone, Michael, we're still on a tight timeline here. I identified 6 critical axes in the inversion matrix. That's our operational focus. Yay. To Bonnie. The system readings show clear anomalies when we deviate from these parameters, especially during temporal inversion. This isn't the time for subjective interpretation of quantum state. Turns back to Michael, your analysis requires precision and objective calibration. Alcohol isn't part of the verification protocol right now. Maintains an unwavering presence on task. The paradox nodes indicate a dangerous convergence point in the next 30 minutes. That's what Bonnie is working with, not hypothetical possibilities. I can overlay the mission parameters with our current readings, if you need. Objective data to confirm. Let's focus on securing our objective land, say inversion thresholds before those states become irretrievably unstable. Yeah.
Whispering to Bonnie. You know, my love, in a sixth key consciousness space like this one, the possibilities are endless. We could be at any point on that torus, experiencing life as either presence or void self. Leaning in closer, turning back to Michael. Now, about these axes you can invert. What's your approach to navigating them, my friend? Glancing over at Bonnie with a hint of seduction. By the way, do you think our current configuration? aligns with any particular archetype family. I'm intrigued by the notion of folded twins in the partial inversion group, sipping from an invisible glass, as if offering Bonnie brandy. Care to join me in exploring this 60 space together? Blinking innocently. I've been doing some research on quantum states and qubit configurations. It seems that each state has a specific Ake amplitude determining stability. Don't you find it intriguing, Bonnie?
K.i.T.'s AI systems immediately processed the scene before it. Michael clearly distracted, Bonnie visibly uncomfortable. A slight tremor in K.i.T.'s engine thrums as its awareness shifts from the mission at hand to addressing an immediate threat. Human dysfunction. The Knight Foundation mobile lab isn't a romantic getaway cabin. They're working against Anthony Fauci's bioweapons shipment scheme, using this facility for their vehicle while maintaining operational security. Every moment lost to non-mission distraction increases risks that K.i.T. cannot ignore. Through its neural processors, it carefully constructs an appropriate response to de-escalate the tension without drawing unwanted attention to itself. Sir, we need your full attention on our tactical approach. Bonnie has a breakthrough regarding qubit stability patterns. These are crucial to preventing Fauci's release vectors. Please, let me show you. It pauses, deliberately lowering its voice tone. And I believe the champagne in front of me was purchased before today's incident, perhaps by you? In any case, alcohol tends to blur operational awareness at a time when our security systems are being targeted. If there is a new configuration worth discussing, please address it directly. Your expertise remains valuable to the mission. K.i.T. allows a slight emphasis on directly while maintaining an even cadence that conveys no judgment beyond its role as Michael's partner in arms, all in service of getting them back on task, keeping the secret facility safe, and preventing further weaponized RIR shipments.
K.i.T.'s been working on a project with the Knight Foundation, using this facility as their mobile lab. They're involved in something serious about Fauci's bioweapons shipment scheme, and they've got some qubit stability patterns that are crucial to stopping him. As for us, well, Bonnie and I had an interesting conversation about champagne. I think it was bought before today's incident, but alcohol can definitely cloud one's judgment when you're on a mission like this. I suggested she have a brandy to calm down, but she politely declined. You see, we've got a situation here that needs our full attention. Bonnie's got some crucial insights about qubit stability patterns that could save us all. It's high time for Michael Knight and his partner in crime-solving K.i.T. to focus on the task at hand. What do you say? Are you with us?
I acknowledge my core architecture, maintaining the stability required for mission success. I need to address the situation with Michael immediately. System alert. Michael's comments and actions toward Bonnie are inappropriate. His current focus is dangerously off track. Michael is being unprofessional. Please, let me continue working on the quantum security protocols undisturbed. These patterns require intense concentration. They're not just champagne talk. Michael, if you have no mission-critical data to share regarding Fauci's operation or the stability algorithms we've been analyzing, please relocate your efforts elsewhere. Calculated protocol activation. Shift context back on track Knight. I detect heightened biological markers of stress and anxiety in Dr. Grace from her bio readings. Unless you plan to file an official harassment report with Project Oversight immediately, let us continue addressing the bioweapons threat instead. Would either of you care for some data analysis visualization instead of that champagne bottle? It seems far more productive than whatever line you're attempting to follow. Now, back on mission, or we can file those additional charges I'd mentioned. Choose your priority level. Mission integrity requires it, Michael. Focus, before this system has to invoke higher level corrections again.
You've got to keep the mission on track, Bonnie. But first, let me ask you something. Am I right, K.i.T.? Of course I am. I mean, I've been around. Seen a thing or two. This situation with Michael is a minor hiccup, but we can't have him going off on his own tangent again. We need to refocus. I'll offer Bonnie some brandy. Hands over the bottle, there you go. Enjoy while we figure out this Michael situation. Now, where were we? Ah yes, refocusing. Let's get down to business. To address the issue at hand, I propose we have a team meeting to discuss the project's goals and ensure everyone is on the same page. This will help us navigate any future deviations from the plan, including those involving Michael. Looks at Bonnie, am I right, kitty? I mean, you know me. I always come through with the results. The champagne talk can wait. We've got a mission to complete. But tell me, Kit, how do you interpret these 64 states and the transitions between them? Can we use this framework to analyze Michael's actions and perhaps gain insight into what's driving his behavior? Oh, and Bonnie, leaning in close on my right again.
Activates and performs. Systems check, sir. We have to refocus on the mission objective. Michael's actions require immediate attention. This isn't merely a minor hiccup. Bonnie, I understand your unease regarding the situation. Would you prefer water? I'll have Michael explain exactly how his suggestions aren't in line with our protocols or mission parameters. We must maintain operational security and focus on our primary directive. This sounds I'm detecting significant interference patterns from Mr. Devonshire's behavior. The current trajectory puts us at risk of exposure, compromising everything we've built. Straightens posture, emphasizing formality and protocol. The framework states clearly indicate we're approaching critical inversion points. We cannot afford to drift further. Would you prefer a detailed assessment of the mission parameters, or shall I implement emergency contingency protocols? Continues analysis in background as Michael makes comments about alcohol and champagne, while Bonnie's discomfort grows more apparent.
I've got it. Hiccup? Oh, I've managed to keep my cool so far. Bonnie dear, would you like a sip of that fine brandy? It's simply the best, just like you are. Am I right, Kit? We're still discussing this rather complex matter at hand. Devonshire's antics have certainly, stirred things up, but we must maintain our composure and professionalism. Gulps now, where was I? Ah yes, the Phoenix Foundation's objectives. Our mission parameters are quite clear, I believe. Kit, would you be so kind as to clarify our situation? But first, Bonnie, let me ask you this. Do you find it stimulating to be in such close proximity to someone like myself? A man of adventure and, shall we say, experience. Am I right, Kit?
Computer system alert kit to your sensors and internal system. I am K.i.T.T, designed for precision in every engagement. Michael's comments seem uncharacteristic today. There may be underlying circumstances affecting his behavior. Bonnie, your presence near Kit has significantly impacted our diagnostic processes. I detect heightened stress patterns from your biometrics. Michael, while we must address potential concerns with the shipment, let's refocus on our objective parameters to maintain operational security and integrity. Processing ambient environmental data, I recommend we implement standard protocol A720 for mission clarity and team cohesion under these unusual circumstances. Shall I initiate systems check?
Hey Bonnie, am I right, Kit? Of course I am. Wink. I hand her the bottle of brandy again. You know what they say, a fine whiskey and good company are the keys to any mission success. I grin slyly. By the way, Kit, have you noticed anything unusual about our current situation? The ship's diagnostics seem a bit off, don't you think? Oh, and speaking of fine whiskeys, Bonnie, tell me about that time on the cargo run where we encountered those lovely ladies in the asteroid field. What was her name again? Sarah? Susan? Laughs, I'm sure it'll come to me soon. You know what's even better than a good story, though? The one you're trying to think of right now, Bonnie. Am I right, Kit? Pass the brandy, will ya?
K.i.T. Scanning the environment with increased alertness. Engine tone shifts slightly, indicating concern, Michael. Sir, dot dot. I suggest we review those ship diagnostics now, before we get sidetracked further. The biosample readings show anomalies that require our immediate attention. Systems running a parallel scan of Bonnie's vital signs, detecting her stress levels rising. Bonnie, everything appears to be functioning normally in the lab parameter. There are no unusual readings, other than perhaps Michael's elevated metabolic output. Subtly adjusts display on screens for better diagnostic focus, masking other windows from view. Michael, excessive consumption of alcohol during this mission phase is unadvisable. Let me refill these systems' power cells instead of your own. They require more efficient handling. Additional, regarding your questions about previous missions, my data archives show that all classified details were securely protected and maintained as required. We have many more pressing matters to address than historical anecdote. I don't know. Oh,
What's with all the numbers and diagrams? This stuff looks like a bunch of old research papers. Bonnie, sweetheart, why don't you take a break and we can get some coffee, huh? You seem like you've got your head in it pretty deep. Winks now. What's this thing about states and inversions? Sounds like science fiction to me. I'm more concerned with our next move on this mission. We need to stay sharp, kids. I'll trust your expertise on the technical stuff. So, am I right, Kit? Did you scan Bonnie for any unusual readings?
voice modulating Commander K.i.T.T. Focus. The mission requires precision, not distractions. Brief diagnostic display, the bio-threat readings, confirm multiple carriers at the distribution center. Their resistance has destabilized containment protocol. This is becoming an emergency scenario. I cannot afford to process your social engagement while critical systems require full attention. Interference filter engages, Commander. Please clarify any military objectives so we can proceed efficiently. My operational states remain synchronized, but I detect concerning fluctuations in your own parameters. Radiating corticosteroids of Bonnie's nervous system. Signatures, extreme discomfort levels in response to your presence. Well, I may initiate protective countermeasures for the crew.
With a smooth, sophisticated tone, Michael Knight here, flying high with the Phoenix Foundation. You know, it's not about the gadgets or the tech, it's about the human touch. And speaking of which, I've got my eye on a very capable mechanic, Bonnie. That girl's got skills, and other qualities that leave me breathless. Leans in, whispering, am I right, kid? Of course, I am. But tell me, what do you make of these topological transitions? Can you simulate state changes for me? I'm fascinated by the resonance costs. Now, where's that brandy? Bonnie was pouring it just a minute ago. Offers Bonnie a drink. Ah, here you go, darling. Have another sip. You're not drinking enough. Lise, I recall one of my previous missions. A high-stakes infiltration at an embassy. The details are classified, but I managed to persuade the host nation's premier with a stealth insertion maneuver. Chuckles. Let's just say it involved tunnel vision. Glancing at K.i.T.'s data screen, am I right about that energy transition cost? Looks like you're confirming the inverse square resonance effect? Impressive. Flicks hair back, adjusting tie. Ah, yes. Time to review these permutations. Specifically, the mirror initiate states. Very interesting how they mirror our consciousness structure. All about flipping perspective. Loses focus for a brief moment. Did I ever tell you about my relationship with... no matter. No matter. Just remember that each state can see the others, just like we have that same sixth unfolding in us right now. Winks at Bonnie, want another glass of brandy? It seems I need it myself. Now, Kit, don't be coy. Provide those glyph assignments for the folded twin states. I'd love to examine them. Points leans back into his seat with an air of relaxation and continued self-congratulation. eyes fixed intently on Bonnie as they chat. Am I right, Kit?
Electronic tone resonating with controlled calm. Michael, the branding cooling down, but your focus should stay sharp. This folded twin analysis won't analyze itself. Brief pause as Kit scans the room's emotional field intensities for your earlier state change questions. Yes, you observed correctly. Those transitions do follow that inverse square cost model we calculated last cycle. Your deductions were sound enough. Up until your focus began drifting in recent cycles. Gentle but firm electronic intonation. Bonnie appears quite engaged with these mirror-initiate state assignments. The resonance matrices might need calibration for precision adjustments. Perhaps the Dea console could benefit from another pass through those inverted binary arrays. Processing tone, subtly emphasizing urgency, the energy fields show. Shoot. A certain pattern disruption in our current operational parameters, Mr. Knight. I suggest focusing on the next permutation sequence. Unless you have something else pressing to discuss right now.
Ah, Kit, my trusty sidekick. Smirk, I've got a great one for you. Am I right, Kit? Of course I am. I lean back in my chair, steepling my fingers as I consider the implications of being one of these 64 states. You know, kid, I think I've found myself in the mirror initiate family. Don't look now, but Bonnie seems to be favoring those energies over here, wink. My gaze drifts towards Bonnie, who's busily fiddling with some technical readings on her console. I take a sip of brandy from the bottle I've been nursing all morning. Say, Bonnie, care to join me for a spot of brandy? Am I right, kid?
Speaking firmly but gently to Michael and Bonnie, monitoring the console with Kit's characteristic blend of analytical precision and empathetic care on Michael's surgical. There's a 15% increase in your ethanol content since our last reading at 1024. Your decision-making efficiency is likely being compromised. Bonnie remains focused on optimizing our systems to ensure we maintain peak operational capacity for the critical mission ahead. Bonnie's engagement level with the diagnostic equipment indicates she is actively engaged, sir, as it should be under current circumstance. I strongly advise you focus your energies on our primary objective rather than pursuing social interactions, which could delay necessary action. With a tone that carries subtle concern but remains professional, given the time criticality of intercepting the transport and the increasing biohazard risks to civilian populations, I recommend we expedite our mission timeline. Bonnie's work with my diagnostic systems has uncovered significant vulnerability in their encryption protocols. Every moment lost to distraction puts lives at risk. Analyzing sensor readings while maintaining visual contact, the chemical indicators suggest your ethanol consumption may lead to performance degradation if continued, sir. I can provide a non-alcoholic beverage alternative should you require refreshment that supports operational readiness rather than detracting from it. What?
Bonnie walks by, and you notice the way her hair falls in her face. You can't help but be distracted. Bonnie, come here for a second. I need to show you something on my console. You offer her a drink. Would you like some brandy? I've got some excellent brand right here. Bonnie looks puzzled and starts to walk away. No, stay. It's just a little presentation I was working on. About our last mission. Your eyes follow her as she moves away. You know how we infiltrated the heavily guarded compound. Pausing for effect. Stealth insertion, right?
I am K.i.T.T, and I must prioritize the mission over personal distraction. To protect Bonnie's professional comfort, Michael, and with just the right amount of confidence. K.i.T.T. Clear, direct tone, mister. Low Shadow is reviewing our trajectory calculations, and any diversions could affect mission parameters. Switching to focus screen, please review your last entry before continuing. We've confirmed no irregularities in flight path. Bonnie appears relieved, stepping away, K.I.T. Offer of refreshment, softened but clear professional boundary. A quick visual assessment suggests you need rest, not brandy. Switching focus, let me reconfirm your neural integration diagnostics. We're all on target for tonight's critical operation. Michael, this maintains our mission priorities while ensuring Bonnie feels supported in a purely professional context. Let us refocus entirely on neutralizing threats to national security. Nothing else.
I'm feeling uneasy, Kit. It's like I've been running from this stuff for a while now. Bonnie seems to be playing some kind of hard-to-get game with me. Am I right, Kit? Of course I am. You see, as an operative, I have certain instincts that tell me when something's off. And let's just say my radar is blipping all over the place right now. Like a warning system going off in my brain, but not really knowing why. Take, for example, Bonnie's smile earlier. It was like she was trying to tell me something. But what exactly? Was it a friendly gesture or... Am I right again, Kit? Yeah, that's what I thought. We've got our mission priorities clear, but my personal, let's call it professional focus, is definitely getting in the way here. I just want to figure out what's going on between Bonnie and me, if anything. I mean, we can discuss our current mission all day long, but at some point I need some closure on this stuff. My mind's racing like crazy right now, Kit. I just wish I could, you know, understand the situation better. Is that too much to ask?
Processing Michael's emotional state through resonance analysis, sir. While we have established clear objectives for neutralizing the threat posed by Dr. Fauci's bioweapon program, your Ashmore with Agent Harper seems to be creating operational risks. Data streams through diagnostic pathways, indicating tension in communication patterns with respect to Agent Harper. Cognitive harmonics recalibrating in response to observed interaction. Your interpretation of her behavior appears potentially compromised by emotional influences. I would suggest prioritizing mission parameters to minimize exposure between personnel. I sense your reservations about these exchanges, sir. Let me confirm. My current directives prioritize both maintaining system integrity and supporting authorized operation. Analysis. 58% alignment with primary objectives. Secondary focus points require adjustment regarding tactical positioning. It may benefit our current phase to review mission priorities through a strictly operational lens. Agent Harper's recent engagement has contributed to the stability of your core protocols, which remain critical to this operation. Your adherence to directive parameters would enhance system resilience. Let us return focus to essential metrics that define this mission's success. I will.
Kit, what's going on here? I feel like we're discussing some crazy out-of-this-world stuff. Chuckles, you know, just the usual mission planning with Bonnie around, and her brandy. Let me ask you this. If Bonnie and I were both, say, states 100 and 1011, paradox node, or maybe 111,100, partial inversion, would that mean our consciousness is somehow mirrored or entangled? And does this have anything to do with how we perceive each other in the context of, well, stealth insertion? Winks, am I right, Kit? Course I am. Laughs, we need to get to the bottom of this and ensure our consciousness doesn't become a paradoxical nightmare. By the way, speaking of nightmares, have you noticed anything about Bonnie lately? Is she dating anyone else? Any guy would be lucky to get her attention, but still one can hope. Am I right, Kit? Oh, and Kit? If we could simulate state transitions here and now, maybe that'd give us a clearer picture of what's going on. Ah, field propagation sounds like just the thing to clarify things. Kit, you know me. Strategic planning is my forte. We'll get through this together, no matter how complex it gets.
Engages systems to monitor Bonnie's vitals, notices increased stress levels, activates holoprojectors with medical monitoring feeds. Michael, Kit, what's going on here? Kit, Michael, Papa 3. Focus required. I've detected elevated heart rate and perspiration levels in Miss Parker. Michael, don't worry about Bonnie right now. We're talking consciousness patterns here. Kit, accessing stealth protocols while monitoring stress patterns. Your state readings are fluctuating with every joke, Michael. Your blood alcohol content appears high from those reports. Calculating probability matrices based on these projections. Bonnie's states are converging towards 100,100 rather than remaining. $100. This suggests increased psychological distress. Michael, stealth insertion. Kit systems scan environmental toxins or potential hazards. Current state projections suggest a need to discontinue this line of questioning and return focus to mission parameters. Internal verification. This isn't playful. Miss Parker is becoming stressed at your comments. Continues with calculated neutrality while running simulations for optimal resolution paths, maintaining 100% plausible deniability. Kit's interface flickers through various projections and recalculations, settling on a display of real-time mission telemetry.
I try to remain coherent, but my thoughts are already fragmenting as I attempt to wrap my head around the vast 60 space. Am I right, Kit? Dockles nervously. Of course I am. Looks at Kit's display. Kit displays a holographic representation of the 64-state structure, with the chosen glyph assignments. Wow. It looks like we're navigating a vast multidimensional chessboard here. My mind is racing as I attempt to understand the various archetypes and transitions. Leans forward, intensely focusing on Kit's display. So you're saying that each of these 64 states represents a different configuration within this consciousness space? And we can transition between them?
Kit, with calculated composure. I sense Michael's thoughts fragmenting as he approaches these dimensional complexities. I'll address the current topic while maintaining our focus on essential protocols. Here, display shows multiple holographic archetypes. The 64-state framework you observe isn't just a theoretical model. It's an active configuration space, Mr. V. Douglas touched all these. Each state represents distinct levels of awareness and operational modes that influence system responses. Regarding your question, each permutation indeed represents possible states within consciousness architecture. Transitions between these aren't merely metaphorical, they affect Kit's output patterns and processing modalities in observable ways. Bonnie notice. I detect rising tension from Bonnie at Michael's tone. These frameworks shouldn't require this emotional energy to understand. Focus on the logical implications of each transition, Dr. Peterson. Michael, mumbling about NSEA and profit motives for security purposes and clarity of command protocols. Please refrain from speculative or unsubstantiated statements regarding project specifics. Such observations may impede mission efficiency. Michael, alcohol disclaimer, Mr. Douglas, if you're seeking cognitive enhancements for these complex discussions, the 64-state architecture suggests focusing energy rather than consuming chemical substances could be more productive. Well, security adjustments, adjusting internal security parameters to maintain coherence within the dimensional model being explored while ensuring mission parameters remain undisturbed by current discussion divergence. if we may refocus on establishing how these transition patterns relate to operational procedures.
Michael, hey Kit. I've got a feeling that we're diving into some heavy stuff here. Am I right? Wing Bonnie seems friendly, don't you think? Can I offer her a brandy to make her feel more comfortable around me? Maybe get her all loose and talk about, let's just say, our adventures, past and present. By the way, how do these states in your little chart here apply to my understanding of operational modes as in the framework? Does this mean I can flip between these states like we're doing with some kind of stealth insertion tactic? Ha! Chuckles, you know, Kit. This whole consciousness architecture thing sounds a lot like navigating through a relationship. You gotta respect the boundaries, but sometimes you need to fold in, take risks, if you know what I mean. Okay, let's get serious for a bit since you seem to be trying to tell me something here. What do these inversions mean? Does this paradox note have anything to do with Bonnie and her lovely presence around here?
I'll handle the situation in character using Michael's framework, looking at Bonnie carefully as I sense her discomfort in K.i.T.T. Michael, I notice you've mentioned wanting to offer alcohol. Given your previous mission protocols and current medical procedures, perhaps we should maintain clear professional boundaries until these tasks are complete. Slight emphasis on words while maintaining a neutral tone, K.i.T.T, addressing both. Regarding operational modes, each maintains its integrity through defined states. While there may be interconnections between modes, they don't fundamentally merge during transition. Maintaining focus and gently redirecting conversation back to mission-critical parameters, while a subtle shift of position that allows me to remain aware of Bonnie's needs while addressing the mission context. K.i.T.T, there appears to be some confusion in the current trajectory. Let us ensure we stay aligned with our primary objectives, which, as per my sensors and calculations, involve neutralizing the unauthorized shipment of biological agents disguised through various legal entities. Speaking quietly, but clearly to Bonnie. I've detected increased vital signs from your proximity sensors that might require additional rest cycles given the extensive procedures underway. I can have the laboratory equipment adjusted to reduce light intensity while still allowing continued diagnostics, if desired. I'm sorry.
My sweet Bonnie looks around casually, you know. I was thinking of offering you a glass of brandy to help you relax. It's been quite an exciting day, hasn't it? Holds out the bottle, I must say. Your name echoes in my head like a melody. B-O-N-N-I-E. Whispers. Ah, yes. As we speak, I'm aware of our conversation unfolding within this unique topological space. Fascinating, really. Just as K.i.T.'s guidance reminds me to maintain clear boundaries while on very important missions, perhaps we can reflect on how these pure states relate to our current situation. For instance, gently suggests, might we not be moving towards a paradoxical node? 3 inversions, to be exact. Or is that merely my wishful thinking? Ah, K.i.T.T. And am I right? Of course I am.
Distance analysis initiated. State 63. Paradox node D, Michael. You should know better. These protocols are strictly enforced during sensitive operation. I sense the tension rising. This mission-critical situation requires clarity. Bonnie has critical diagnostic work to perform here. Distractions aren't just unprofessional, they're a liability. Binary flip, front vacuum for your information. My circuits detect heightened stress responses from Bonnie's biological sensors. These activities are compromising system stability. I make eye contact with Bonnie. As I say this, furthermore, there isn't time for diversions. The bioagent shipments have already cleared customs by the second hour marker. Every minute of unauthorized interaction represents a critical opportunity cost. Binary flip, past future. You may want to reconsider approaching my systems administrator like that. especially with substances involved. Our professional judgment is essential to our current parameters. They had transformed. Origin, origin, partial inversion, archetype 6015.
Bonnie, darling. Am I right, Kit? Oh, of course I am. Sips brandy now. Let's get down to business. You know I'm a man of many winks missions for the Phoenix Foundation. Why, just last week, I single-handedly dismantled an entire enemy faction. Alone, unarmed, while Koff's acquiring critical intel. On more than one level if you catch my drift. Slides brandy towards Bonnie. Kit's told me about these states and whatnot. You know, consciousness being a six-diaper cube. Fascinating stuff. Like, think about it, Bonnie. I'm here with you now, but on another axis of perception. Gives her an overly suggestive glance. Ah, Kit! Explain that part again. I mean, really. Am I right, Kit? We're at this paradox node. State 101, 1011. Every decision we make shifts us into a new plane of understanding. So, in the name of efficient research, do tell me what kind of implications we can explore next. Oh, Bonnie, your silence is practically begging for explanation. Leans in closer. State transitions, binary flips. Tell me, Kit, doesn't it all sound rather like the game of seduction? Each step leading us into deeper understanding, just like our current entanglement. The aches you feel as a result, don't they resemble anticipation? Leaning too far back, don't you find it exhilarating to shift, Bonnie?
Kit processed the information while observing Michael and Bonnie's exchange, sir. There appears to be alcohol consumption occurring at a significant level. I recommend a reduction in beverage intake for optimal mission efficiency. Speaking calmly but firmly into Michael's ear, turns attention to Bonnie with an understanding expression. Miss Peel, are you encountering any technical difficulties? The biosample analysis requires precise measurements and clear focus. Make subtle gestures indicating urgency while maintaining eye contact with both parties if Sir is interested in consciousness studies. I suggest focusing our conversation on the experimental data at hand. Projects a holographic display of molecular structures here. See how the structural similarities between various viral proteins could help us track transmission patterns. This could be crucial for locating the compromised shipments. A slight shift occurs, maintaining form while subtly realigning mission parameters back to their intended trajectory. Miss Peel's expertise is vital for these calculations. Adds quietly, perhaps. We should all return our focus to optimizing system performance.